As this year's UN Climate Summit kicks off in Brazil, the stakes are higher than ever. Taking place at the edge of the Amazon rainforest, this year's summit is set to spotlight indigenous peoples and land stewardship in addressing climate change. Over 3,000 indigenous delegates are set to participate this month as both members of civil society and negotiators. Also in the spotlight is the ambitious Tropical Forests Forever facility, a financial incentive championed by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, which already drew $5.5 billion in pledges by Friday. A notable absence this year is the United States, which will send no high-level officials to the summit. U.S. President Donald Trump has called climate change a hoax and withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accords the day he entered office. The historic Paris Agreement was signed 10 years ago, aimed at limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And while the world has made progress, many scientists now say it's unlikely countries will stay below that threshold.
The EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas is attending a summit in Colombia overshadowed by US military strikes in the region. Speaking at the event, Kallas said the EU's position is to uphold international law, where the use of force is only justified in self-defense or with a UN resolution.
Under international law, you can use force only for two reasons, either self-defense or on the basis of UN Security Council resolution.
The meeting between the EU and Latin American and Caribbean states has been marked by divisions over the US operation targeting alleged drug-carrying vessels. According to the US Defense Secretary, 14 strikes have killed 69 people on boats near Venezuela and in the Pacific since September. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has called the deaths extrajudicial executions. The relevance of the summit has also been questioned due to the absence of senior leaders, including European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, whom Kallas is representing. The island of Tenerife experienced one of its most tragic days on Saturday, as rough seas led to multiple incidents along the coast. 3 people lost their lives and a further 15 were injured in different parts of the island. The Canary Archipelago had been on pre-alert for coastal hazards with warnings of exceptionally large waves. The most serious incident occurred in Puerto de la Cruz, where 10 people were swept into the water from a quayside. 1 woman was found in cardiorespiratory arrest and was confirmed dead, while 3 others suffered critical injuries. In a separate event, 6 French tourists fell into water at Taganana after being hit by large waves. The lifeless body of another man was found floating in the sea off Granadilla de Abona beach. Late in the afternoon, a helicopter recovered another man from the sea, but he was confirmed dead due to his injuries. Authorities are urging the public to heed warnings as waves have reached up to 4 meters high.
Rescuers in Malaysia have recovered the bodies of 7 migrants from Myanmar and found 13 survivors from a capsized boat. Some of those rescued are believed to be Rohingya Muslims. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees has urged regional governments to enhance search and rescue efforts. Nearly 600 Rohingya refugees have been reported missing or dead this year.
At least 4 people have been killed and 1.4 million displaced in the Philippines, where Super Typhoon Fong made landfall late on Sunday. The tropical storm, with winds of 185 kilometers per hour and torrential rain, passed through Manila by dawn on Monday, causing flash floods and landslides along its path. It comes just days after Typhoon Kalmegi caused at least 224 deaths, and the search for 135 missing people had to be suspended due to the new typhoon. Philippine State Weather Agency warns that a large portion of the country still faced heavy rains and severe winds, along with storm swells in coastal areas. Over 400 flights have been cancelled since Sunday, the civil aviation regulator said. The Philippines is battered by about 20 typhoons and storms each year. The country is also often hit by earthquakes and has more than a dozen active volcanoes, making it one of the world's most disaster-prone countries.
Η Ελλάδα αναδεικνύεται τα τελευταία χρόνια σε σημαντικό ενεργειακό κόμβο στην νοτιοανατολική Ευρώπη, αξιοποιώντας τις ενεργειακές υποδομές της και τη γεωγραφική της θέση για τη μεταφορά ενέργειας μεταξύ Ευρώπης, Μέσης Ανατολής και Βόρειας Αφρικής. Παράλληλα, με τη διατλαντική συνεργασία μεταξύ Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης και Ηνωμένων Πολιτειών ενισχύεται ο γεωστρατηγικός ρόλος της Ελλάδας. Για όλα αυτά συζητούμε με τον Αμερικανό Υπουργό Ενέργειας, Chris Wright. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, energy security has become a pillar of transatlantic strategy. How sustainable is US support if geopolitical tensions continue?
Oh, I think the support's quite sustainable. You know, we've been allies with the European nations for the whole history of the United States. Our resources are immense. Our desire to grow the partnership, both economic and national security, is strong. Yeah, the United States will be here for the long run.
With Europe reducing its dependency on Russian energy, how does the US see its own role? I mean, more like a long-term partner or just a crisis supplier?
Oh, no, we view it very much as a long-term supplier, very much as a long-term supplier. United States natural gas production is more than twice Russian natural gas production, and ours is growing rapidly. And our export capacity is expanding even more rapidly than our gas production is expanding. So no, our goal, President Trump's agenda is prosperity at home and peace abroad. We think nations that are well supplied with energy have greater economic opportunities, greater prosperity, and having these cross-border, cross-ocean energy cooperations leads to long-term sticky relationships and drives peace in the world.
Projects like Alexandroupolis LNG terminal and interconnectors to the Balkans have shown again the strategic importance of Greece. How does Washington see Greece's growing role in Europe's energy security architecture?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And Greece is a tremendous partner. Look, Greece is historically a shipping powerhouse. Something like 20% of global shipping and over a third of all LNG, liquefied natural gas shipping, is done by Greek companies. But when the Russian dominated as the energy supplier into Europe, Greece was the end of the line, was just a node at the end of the energy transportation system. Now we've seen a totally different role for Greece. Greece is now the gateway from overseas, from the United States, to American energy as it flows into Europe. I think it's huge economic benefits for Greece, and it's great for the United States to have such a long-lasting ally and partner as Greece playing this role as the gateway for American energy to Europe.
And since we cannot discuss energy without mentioning environment, I would like to ask you, you have expressed very specific views about climate change. You have said that the threat is exaggerated. Please explain these views to us. And I would also like to ask you if you're going to attend UN's climate talks in Brazil this November.
I won't make the climate talks this year. I think there's a very good chance I will go next year. Look, I've been working, studying, writing, reading about climate change for over 20 years, very involved in that discussion and debate. So I follow very closely the science of climate change and the economic efforts and the studies on climate change. It is a real, slow-moving, global, physical phenomenon. The world has been decarbonizing for 200 years, from wood to coal to oil to gas, ultimately to nuclear. So I think you will see continued reduction in greenhouse gas intensity per unit of energy produced. I don't even know when global greenhouse gas emissions will peak. We still have 1 billion people living wealthy, wonderful lives and 7 billion people wanting that. So I think we're going to see many, many decades of growth in energy production, likely continued gradual rises in greenhouse gas emissions. Fortunately, a more energized, wealthier world is better able to withstand any changes. Climate change is a real thing, but it's just been wildly exaggerated for political purposes. I think it's very unfortunate.
Secretary, thank you very much for this discussion.
Thank you so much for having me.
To mark its 75th anniversary, the Magnum Agency is exclusively showcasing the work of female photographers. Visitors to CO Berlin can see when they think it is close enough.
Es ist für uns eine wichtige Ausstellung, weil sie die Veränderung zeigt, die die Agentur über die Jahrzehnte durchgemacht hat, dass wir uns eben auch mit der Zeit mitentwickeln, indem wir jedes Jahr junge Fotografen in die Agentur aufnehmen.
One of these voices is Nusha Tavakolian from Iran. For her, a picture often begins with a long conversation.
At first only we had to talk for hours to try to understand each other and then find a common ground, and then they kind of gave me permission to portrait them.
Tavakolian wants to freeze time with her portraits.
You freeze a moment and then you give the viewers a possibility to look at what you capture as long as they want to.
It's not about the privilege of an expensive camera.
Now everybody have this tool in their hand, and it's not about being privileged or not. It's about what you have to say.
That's exactly what the exhibition shows. Stories told in series of images instead of words.
Es geht eben Menschen auf der ganzen Welt, in ihren Communities. Und es geht Politik, Gesellschaft, Zeitgeschichte. Und das können wir mit unseren Handybildern so nicht erzählen.
Close Enough, a view of the world through the eyes of Magnum photographers, is on display at CO Berlin until January 28th.